Hey everyone, welcome back to eScot Game, where we give you the X's, the O's, and the insights of NBL 1 East. Thanks for joining us tonight live on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And remember, you can follow us on those platforms at eScot Game. Or you can continue to find our episodes on your preferred streaming platforms as well. While you're there, make sure you check out Cut to the Jace, a podcast featuring the Bankstown Bruin himself, Jason Kadee, and It's a Cole World, a podcast by WNBL champion Bet Cole, both brought to you by basketball.com.au. Hello, Lockie.
Hello, Squin. Lovely to have you back on the podcast after your sojourn last week.
Yes, bless. Thank you. It's nice to be back. Thanks for holding down the fort while I was gone. I was lucky to be gifted 2 tickets to see David O'Doherty for my birthday earlier this year. So myself and our co-commentator and friend and podcaster Mal Crawford from Ball Don't Lie Australia kindly came with me to the show. It was good. It was a nice night out, like break from basketball.
Very nice.
And how are you after this massive Anzac Day round?
Yeah, I'm great. It was a big round. I was at Comets commentating, so not a great week for my team somehow. Comets men and women both went 0-2. Sutherland men lost. At least Sutherland women were able to get up, but can't exactly be mad about getting to commentate on Jazz Shelley and Izzy Morgan and all those other Norse players that I love so much. So you take the rough with the smooth.
Yeah, that's right. And is there any chance that those teams will meet each other again later in the season? Get the split?
I don't actually know. I think Sutherland will play Illawarra again. I don't know about Norse and Comets. Yeah. I remember which teams I'm commentating, so I know I get to, yeah. Don't really remember. Probably something I should think about. Too focused on Sutherland Newcastle coming up this weekend.
Oh, that would be a good one. Speaking of Sutherland women, we put out on Instagram on our stories today if anyone's got some suggested discussion points for us. One of them being that the Sutherland women are looking really, really good. Do you think they'll be able to bounce back after their loss against North pretty easily?
See, that's the thing. They're looking really good, but they did, that was a pretty heavy defeat. 19 points they went down to against North, and I'm not sure. Like, we look good in the wins they've had, but I'm not sure they've really played a lot of teams that you'd expect to trouble them. Comets, you'd expect them to win. Maitland, you'd expect them to win. Then they lost to North, and then Illawarra, you'd expect them to win. So I think this week against Newcastle is a really good litmus test for them. Especially Newcastle ran North really close earlier in the season. So yeah, it'll be, I think, and then Canberra and Bankstown. So yeah, all 3 of those games, especially if Katie Jones is back for Canberra by now, it would be cutting it fine at the end of German playoffs for her to fly back and play pretty much the same week. But definitely full strength Newcastle and Bankstown. But I mean, it's a damn good Sutherland lineup that they've got there. Nicholson, Curtin, adding Curtin and Dent to Nicholson, Fabro, Douglas, Norris. So yes, looking good, but taking care of business when they should, and haven't and probably lost the game they were, expected to, which was expected to be tougher. So happy with how it's going, but need more evidence.
Yeah, so basically they need to be challenged and tested a little bit more, like you said. So that game against Newcastle will be super important. And, it's great seeing Michael Turton back in such a head coaching role. He's going to have plenty of experience and know what to do with such a talented roster. But certainly looking like do you think a top 4 team or a top 6 team?
definitely top 6. I just checked the draw after they play Canberra and Bankstown. They go to Albury the very next weekend. So really tough stretch of games. And that will pretty much, I would dare say that this stretch of 4 games could decide whether Sutherland end up in the top 4 or 5th to 8th. And I very much think they are making the top 8, obviously, with that roster. But yeah, this stretch of 4 games will probably decide which half of the top 8 they're in.
Awesome. And as well, as we mentioned last week, Robbie Clayton, who is the color commentator for the Hills Hornets and also the co-host and co-creator of the Throwback Hoops podcast. It's been running for a really long time. I think earlier in the year, they celebrated their 200th episode, which was massive. So yeah, off the back of that episode, another suggested discussion point that came through on Instagram, our Instagram stories today was, what was our take on the Hills teams so far this season? Now, truth be told, I haven't watched a lot of Hills, either men's or women's team just yet. I'm familiar with both of their rosters. I've kept an eye on their stats a little bit, but I don't think I'm confident with really giving a hot take just yet. What about you?
I mean, when you say Hills look really interesting to me, the first thing that jumps out to me is Ned Carr. Hills they've had some success with guys coming up from Big V. Ish Sanders, Meek Payne came from Big V, and now Ned. And these are guys, Ned especially, he was end of the bench for Dandenong in NBL 1 South, and then went to, I think, Pakenham in Big V, and just balled out. Like I think he was putting up similar numbers to what Meek was putting up when he played in Big V. And they picked him up and he has slotted right in. He was great in that game that Robbie and I broke down against Albury Wodonga. He put up 20 and 10 against Central Coast on the weekend in that 80-68 win. And yeah, they've added some good pieces. I think we always talk about Gon Majak being underrated. Sean Stewart's good. Meek's still around. Liam Moss is there. I think he might be getting his legs under him a bit coming off the bench. They've just got a whole lot of underrated pieces, better than the nuisance that they've been in recent years. They're actually, starting to really lay a marker down. They're 3-2. They got Norse coming up in their only game against Norse for the year, which is make sense. But anyway, but again, probably coming back to that same term, a good litmus test for them, because North are 6-1. They got rolled by Illawarra, but they've dominated everyone else just about. And yeah, I think I'm intrigued by Hills, and they've got some good young pieces coming off the bench. When you think about, they've got Saxon Orsini, Josh Payne, young Ben Williams. And they've still got Paith Mimosia coming off the bench as well. So yeah, a lot of intrigue there. And I really enjoyed watching them against Albury Wodonga in that game a couple of weeks ago.
Awesome. And the women's side as well, I can see Shez is making her way back into the rotation.
Yeah, I think once she gets her legs on, I think she played 9 minutes first up and 15 minutes in her second game. Obviously, the more minutes that Cherie gets under her legs, the better. Just got to hope it's quickly, because there are what are they sitting at the moment? 2-3. Again, they've got North this weekend, so that's going to be very, very tough for anyone. And of course, still awaiting the return of Piper Anderson, and the sooner that happens, the better as well. And they've just got a few things. So who have they got? They've got North, then they've got Comets. They've got a Comets Canberra doubleheader, and then COE and Maitland. So, there's a few games there that they can definitely win and at least hover around 500 once we reach the halfway point of the season. And once they've got Piper back, if she's back for the second half of the season, watch out. Because I always think back to when Hills had 2 imports last year. They actually looked like a pretty solid team. It was just, for a lot of the season, they didn't have that and won like 2 of the other 10 games. So that was their biggest problem. So Yes, to whoever said that Hills were an intriguing team, or whatever the particular word was, on both sides, very much so. And they're just such a big association nowadays. I heard someone throwing around a term that they manage 20 courts or something nowadays, so across all their venues. So if they keep the team solid, I mean, law of averages suggests they're going to have some good players coming through it. They've got, that many players trotting out there every night on all those courts.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be great if we could review one of the women's games later in the season once they've got all their pieces back. Once Shez is playing some consistent minutes, once Piper's back, because I'm excited to see, Shez, Piper, Kennedy Johnson, Jade Kurasomi, like those are already 4 really great pieces to put together to have as your main, 4 out of your starting 5. And once they get their chemistry going, I think that would be a great game for us to review.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think it's what we've been waiting for is a full strength Hills. Because first of all, we were excited to see Shez back to full fitness, but to see a full strength Hills is going to be really fun, I think.
And then the last discussion point is something that you've brought up a couple of times in the past. And which is a good thing. And we had a couple of people also suggesting this as a discussion point for tonight. But the Friday night games, people seem to be loving it. And I think you've been a big fan of the Friday night games for a long time.
100%. In a world where double headers must exist, I would much rather them on a Friday night than a Sunday arvo. Sunday arvo, you got to remember that the majority of your crowd is probably going to be people who are invested in the club with like kids playing juniors or things like that. And junior reps are on Sundays. So you're just eating into your crowd because half your junior reps are going to be at some other stadium playing. Especially if you got the home double header, it just eats into it more because people will come out on a Saturday night. But if they come out on a Saturday night, they're probably not going to show up on the Sunday as well. So at least on the Friday night, if they're, Friday night, no junior reps on. I understand some players don't like it. I think for the players working a 9 to 5, it's kind of hard, especially the women's players. You're working 9 to 5 and you turn up for a 6 p.m. tip off. I know some Sutherland players, like they are just madcap trying to get out of work early so they can get down to the stadium for tip. So I know there's that thing, but if we're going to have double headers, I would much rather them on Friday night than a Sunday. I know it probably wouldn't work for like Albury Wodonga traveling up or the country teams, but with the Metro double headers, chuck them on a Friday night. So much better.
Yeah, I agree. And even for me, I've got to commentate a game on Friday night down in Logan. And for me, in terms of leaving work on time and getting down that far with traffic, I'm already stressing and I'm just commentating. I don't have the responsibility of having to play. So I think that can definitely needs to be taken in consideration, maybe just stretching it to like 7. But Friday night games, especially for the Metro teams, are a great idea because it is, even though it's a Friday night, it's the end of the working week, sometimes people are a little bit tired and just want to go home and chill out. But if you can get that second wind, or if you just keep rolling, it can kind of feel like the perfect start to a weekend. If you're a fan, like a great way to break the chain from the working week, go and watch some basketball, and you kind of feel like your weekend has already really started. I think it's definitely trickier for country teams, obviously, especially your Alburys that have to travel the furthest. But even maybe for those that the triangle of Central Coast, Maitland, Newcastle, I think a Friday night game would be a little bit tricky, but for the Metro teams for sure. And the second part to that question that we actually got about Friday night games was, do you think the NBL one will introduce midweek games? Because going back to the new look WNBL season that we just had, they had some more midweek games. And from what I was told, they decided to put some WNBL games, say, on a Tuesday or Wednesday night, because the times that they did that for NBL 1, they got really high numbers. So they were hoping that was going to transfer into WNBL. So that's okay for pro leagues because that's literally the players' jobs. They don't have to worry about going to work the next day. But midweek games, again, I think would only be suitable for metro teams rather than the country teams. So I think that would then add to the logistical nightmare of having to create a draw for NBL 1.
Yeah, it's one thing to, rush from work and play a Friday night game and then maybe you have a Saturday night game, maybe you don't. Whereas you play a midweek, you rush from work, you play a midweek game. If you're the men's game, you're tipping off at 8, you finish at 9:30, 9:45. By the time you wind down, you're probably lucky to get to sleep before midnight, and that's if you live close. And we got to remember, not every player in this league lives near the club they play for.
No, so you got like Sammy McCubbin and Cezzy Matthews that still live on the Central Coast but play for, and their coach Will Granger. They all still live on the Central Coast but are with Maitland Mustangs this season. And even for us playing social comp, we'll have a game at 9:20 some nights. Yeah. And that's just social comp. That's already enough to get us wide. So imagine doing the whole rigmarole of having to play a full 2-hour NBL 1 game. Imagine if you had double OT on a Tuesday night. There goes your week.
Gone. But back to the point, it does. If you do it with metro teams on the Friday night, it doesn't have to be a double header. Take a game out of the Saturday, and then there's just less, fewer conflicting start time games on the Saturday. You just don't have as many games. People, the neutrals who will, just find a game to watch, don't have to pick between 5 or 6 games. If there's one on the Friday night, they can watch as well. You're just basically opening it up. You're just giving that game, free air, which can only be a good thing. I don't think we want staggered start times all over the shop because they're just going to overlap anyway with how many games there are. But just have that one game that gets free air is so beneficial. And as you mentioned, the midweek tip on the WNBL, it was the only basketball on. It was, in some cases, it was the only sport on.
Yeah, and that was also part of the decision to put it midweek. And that's why they think that the random midweek games of NBL 1 got such great viewership, is because that some nights was the only sport that was on. So having those standalone games definitely helps. But yeah, more Friday games in metro areas, like you said, free up the Saturday. Maybe it's more rest time. Maybe it's more opportunity for players and coaches just to go be a fan if they've only got their standalone game for the round on a Friday. Go and check out, kind of have that work-life basketball balance a bit better.
Go scout next week's opponent in person instead of having to watch game film.
Yeah, instead of having to watch film. Just before we move on, we got SJ from Love of the Game giving you a shout out, Lockie, for listening to your call and you calling Billy. Games, he says, games was crazy knowledge.
Yeah. So Billy Fichetti actually reached his 100th appearance in the NBL 1 this week against North on the weekend, and I did mention it on the call.
Nice. Did anyone from the club or anyone give him a shout out for his milestone?
No, because I don't think anyone knows, because he's done it across 5, because he played for Mackay and then Darwin and then Inner West and now Comet. So it was just the fact I always write down how many appearances every player has in my notes each week. So, according to the NBL 1 website, Billy Fichetti now has 100 games. So congratulations, Billy.
Did you get to tell him that after the game? Hey, by the way, that was your 100th game.
No, I didn't. Not sure the mood was the best in the Comets camp after the. Yeah,
you're right. Read the room. Yeah, I wasn't there.
After conceding 13 points in the first 18 minutes and going on to lose 70-59.
I would like to know, actually, he's got the NBL 1 passport between all of those great clubs. I wonder how many other players across NBL 1 have done something similar, like reached that 100-game milestone, but had, he'd broken up, contributed from multiple clubs. That would be cool to find out. But don't break your brain over finding out, please, Lockie.
I'm not going to, but there are going to be because look at it's 20 games a season and it's the 5th season. We're going to have a few players rack up 100 games just in East soon.
Yeah, so, we are. Yeah, we are. Let's keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
And SJ also says that we're making sense, so we have the keys to run the league now of having more Friday night games. But I think that's just because SJ also likes Friday night games.
Yeah.
All right. Well, shall we? Oh, the only other discussion point I wanted to bring up, I can't remember. Well, obviously I can't remember if it was brought up last week because I wasn't here. But I can't remember if it was the week before. Just giving Amelia Hassett her flowers. Did we mention that already?
We did, but now it's preseason, so stuff's actually happening.
Yes, so she's scoring in preseason games for the LA Sparks. Our boy James Mullen from Waratah on VCR did a great clip of some of her highlights from when she was playing for Albury Wodonga Bandits in NBL 1 all those moons ago. So it's a really nice fairy tale story for a young New South Wales country kid to now be literally playing next to Kelsey Plum.
Yeah, that is
like the top crazy dog.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. I mean, for a kid from Adelong, that's out there.
Yeah. Yeah. So just probably worth another shout out. I think with the WNBA preseason still rolling, there's a whole bunch of games still to come because some teams like Toronto Tempo and Portland Fire, the 2 new expansion teams, haven't played just yet. I'm dying to know who's going to get cut and who's going to get waived. And I think the Mystics are the only team that have started to make cuts.
And the Wings did a couple. I just keep refreshing across the timeline.com. Just look at the player transactions every morning.
Yeah. Don't worry about reading the morning headlines. Just refresh that page every morning. That's your headlines.
Pretty much.
All right. Shall we get stuck into our game of the week?
Yes, because it took a little longer than most games.
It sure did. And now, us with our telepathic nerdy powers, when we were trying to figure out which game to preview this week, this game was on top of both of our lists. I think for me, what stood out was how close it was, who won, and who were the personnel that got it done.
And for the winning team, who they did it without.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, so let's get stuck into it. Today, we're going to be talking about the Hornsby Ku-ring-gai Spiders versus the Maitland Mustangs women's game that happened on the weekend. Lockie, take us from the top.
So I think we've alluded to it pretty well, but it went to overtime and it finished 91-90 in overtime. So, and it was very close to being double overtime. Obviously, the big thing is Jessie May-Hall out for the Spiders with an eye injury, which James Mullen was nice enough to actually mention during the commentary. So we all knew exactly what was going on, but it was a really, really good game as well. I mean, as you would expect with a game that, it was reasonably high scoring. And close. It was a good balance between offense and defense. And apart from Hornsby getting up by, I think, 11 at one stage, no one, there wasn't any real big blowout margins and massive comebacks where one team just fell in a hole. It was funny. It was the first couple of minutes, I saw, Hornsby just attacking the paint and Maitland bombing away from 3. And I was like, oh, okay, 2 diverging styles. And then they just sort of came back to each other a little bit after a while. And the stat, like the split of 2-point to 3-point attempts actually was pretty close between the two teams. The main point of difference being that Maitland actually had 12 more field goal attempts than Hornsby Ku-ring-gai. But Hornsby Ku-ring-gai shot the ball a lot better from 2-point range. was it was just a good game, and the battle between Ayana Bay and Casey Newbert. Holy moly. They battled on 4 fouls apiece for what felt like an eternity, and it took until the last minute of overtime for either of them to foul out. It was it was just really, really good basketball for 45 minutes.
Yeah, I agree, especially what I liked. Okay, well, before I even get into the start of the game and setting the tone and things like that, is that Spiders logo at the half court, is that new? Is that a new logo on there?
I think, it's new. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's completely different font.
I'm not too distant anymore from East. So I can still recognize that is a new logo on the court.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
I don't know how long I haven't thought about how long it's been there, but it's definitely a different logo to the one they used to have. Yeah.
Oh, it looks great, and it looks intimidating because it's massive.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's massive. But yeah, I would go back to your point about how Hornsby from the tip were very aggressive, attacking the rim. Maitland found their range really early. I really loved, though, each possession from each team to open this game were like 10 out of 10. So we had Hornsby getting on the rack, showing a lot of inside presence early, setting the tone that was going to be a big part of their game plan, and that stuck the whole way through. And how was that opening play from Maitland?
With the screens from Casey and Jess?
Perfectly executed. The screens. Sezzy Matthews just waits patiently, throws the best pass. The defense obviously had their eyes and their head turned away from the ball. They had no vision of the ball whatsoever. Reads that perfect pass placement. Just after those first 2 opening possessions, I knew we're on here. We're on.
Yeah.
This is going to be a cracker of a game. Like each team came out very focused, very disciplined in what they were running. So I really liked that. I think as well, each team, and the point that you made as well, how they both set the tone of Hornsby getting inside. Maitland are going to win from the arc. But you're right. More and more as the game went on, it was just another one of those games where it was like for like. And I hate to say it again because I feel like I've said it already reviewing a women's game earlier in the season. But it really was a like for like. You know, one team would turn over, the next team would turn over. One would get a layup, the other would get a layup. One would get the 3. It was really back and forth, like they were just imitating each other. So it was so interesting how their styles of play ended up being really similar. But I think at the end of the day, despite Maitland putting up, I think what you said, 12 more shots than Hornsby, I think for me, it really came down to who was executing their offense a little bit better and a bit better organized and a bit more confident in what they were doing. But also, I just think, and we'll get to it when we talk about fourth quarter, the twist of fate. As soon as this happened in the fourth quarter, I'm like, that's it, the game's done. And it was still ages to go, but we'll get to that later. But the other points I had from the first quarter was at 5 minutes 59, so just say 6 minutes. I don't know why I have to write down specifically 5 minutes 59.
I do exactly the same thing.
The weak side layup that Hornsby got, that was just beautiful ball movement, great team play. And it was just, really well executed. So I broke it down. Essentially, there was a pick and roll on the left-hand side, and Sezzy Matthews was guarding the person setting the screen. And then she was kind of just in no man's land. Like, she just stood behind the screener, but she didn't stand perpendicular to the screener where she was between the ball and the basket. So that just opened that lane wide up. She was literally behind the screener, kind of like not doing anything. And then the person guarding the ball, I think maybe was Finney. And she And she overplayed it so they couldn't use the screen, but overplayed it too much that lane became even more open. So once the ball handler was able to penetrate off that read, there was no other defenders in front of her, and that weak side defender on the split line had to come over and help. But they helped too far and too early. So that left-hand layup was just wide open. Wide open.
I was watching, I was like, that screen just took two players out at once, but yeah, like you said, it was because Sezi was just, they just made the wrong move. Both defenders just made the wrong move.
Yeah, it was just like this chain reaction of like split second, not the best decisions. And then that's how that opened wide up. But I just kind of pulled that out because I was like, how did they get that so easy? And it was just that chain reaction. And then we had Perkins with the O board as well, O board and put back. I really like at 4 minutes 28, Shaq Riley, she had that step back three, which she created great space just by the step back to make the three, but it's what she did before that actually created that shot for her. So she had it on the 45. She had some extra time. She actually dribbled up and away from the basket, and that forced her defender to take some extra space from her. And then she was able to penetrate and get even more space off the step back. So I thought that was a really nice executed move as well.
And it wasn't the only time she did it during the game. Not the dribble back, but the recognizing that she had the space to get up ahead of steam and rely on her deceleration to just get the defender sort of on their heels and have room for it. And like, it's these players, like, I know I'm going to talk about S&C and mention Josie Ballman here, but these players who are in the weight room and know about S&C that are working on basketball-specific skills to decelerate like that have such an advantage just from the knowledge, not just the work they put in the gym, but the knowledge to do the basketball-specific stuff all the time. And you watch that, Shaq can just stop on a dime because she puts in the S&C work because she knows about it. And it's brilliant to watch.
And it's probably one area of S&C that isn't kind of respected enough or as much, or maybe forgotten about, I should say, probably forgotten about.
I mean, we've already mentioned a couple of plays where, you know, teams have set screens, and honestly, both teams were really, I think for most of the first quarter, were really good at doing those little things, setting screens, good off-ball movement. I went and looked at the shot chart. Every Hornsby shot in the first quarter was either a three or was within 9 feet of the basket. They had nothing even remotely close to a mid-ranger. Like, most of it was actually in the restricted circle if it wasn't a three. Yeah. And I mean, like Ruby Perkins, she does things that belie her size. Like, threw a skip pass out to, she dribbled all the way back out almost to the corner three and skip pass to Lucy Mead on the opposite wing on one play. I think it was just before the midway point of the first quarter. And like, Ruby Perkins doesn't look like she should be able to just fling that pass like that, but she can. And it was perfect. And yeah, I mean, and it wasn't just that. She, you know, we know she's got the speed, she's got the court vision, and she kept doing it all night. She was finding players. She wasn't hitting shots or getting to the rack. She was finding players, and she just had a really good night. That was, those were probably my two things. Was just the way Perkins was able to do so many things so well early, and just that Hornsby, not a mid-ranger in sight. Maitland were actually pretty good at that as well. I think they only had a couple of mid-range shots. Most of their stuff was threes and layups as well. Apologies to the Carmelo Anthony fans in the house, but I'm sure the coaches will have been happy with the efficiency of the shot attempts.
Yeah, I think so too. I think one of the main notes I wrote down that Coach Granger would have been upset about is to close this first quarter. Perkins had an assist straight after the timeout. And then she goes and she then goes and scores on the buzzer with a layup. And I was like, oh, Will's going to be so mad.
We mentioned it last week in the Hills Albury men's game, how Albury just fell asleep on 2 end of quarter possessions and gave Hills easy layups and lost the game by 2 points.
That hurts. That hurts.
Yeah.
That's
so,
yeah. But yeah, you're so right about that shot chart. Looking at Hornsby Ku-ring-gai shot chart from the first quarter, it is just textbook. Either a 3 or it's under the basket. And it's cool that all the shots under the basket are actually quite varied. Like they're pretty much all over the charge circle. And the 3-point attempts are in the exact spots that the coaches want you to be, except for maybe one is, it's deep corner and 45.
Yeah.
So perfect placement on the floor as well. But we are talking about Shaq Shorey here as the coach. He's really stepping into his own. He's been coaching with some of the best. I mean, we know that he came from Norse, coached with Renee Garlop for a while. There were lots of times in this game too when I was watching Hornsby and I was like, this brand of basketball is very familiar. This is a brand of basketball that we reviewed 2 weeks ago and that we really, really like. And because it works.
Yes, it works. And I mean, I think that's part of why we both enjoyed this game so much, is it's the style of basketball we like. Because it works.
Because it works. And when everyone sticks around for our special guest interview later that we pre-recorded, they're going to tell you the same.
They are.
But yeah, that first quarter, I think, was still quite like for like. Each team were still kind of establishing themselves quite a bit. And I kind of got a sense that like it was pretty much most of the theme of the game. That kind of just kept rolling. And then I started to make some more notes regarding Maitland come the second quarter. So things like, I just felt like Newbert needed more touches earlier in the game.
That's fair. I think so. I think the way... Oh, go on.
Oh, I was going to say because she's obviously a great threat under the basket to be a scorer. But she's also a great passer. She's not a hole. She's not going to be a black hole. You're not going to throw it in the post and never see it again. Yeah. She will find the shooters. She will attract a lot of defenders. I thought she could have done with a few more touches.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think she finished with 4. She finished with 4, only 1 assist, 4 steals. 9 rebounds, 17 points. But yeah.
And then she ended up being 7 from 16. I just kind of felt like earlier in the game, maybe a few more touches, but obviously it came good in the end. She having 7 from 16 was really good. And the time she started to score as well during this game was really important.
Yeah. But I mean, I think we can all appreciate a passing big, especially that. I mean, Maitland do have shooters. Right? Certainly got people to find.
Yeah, they're certainly not sold out of shooters. So there's lots of people there that you can be confidently getting the ball to at least have a good shot on target. Both teams, to be fair, shot really well. I think there was only maybe one wayward 3-point attempt in the whole game, and that was really early. I mean, other than the buzzer beater attempts, they don't count. But every other shot attempt within the regulation time was they're all very well on target. If there was a shots on target statistic, it would be quite high. Second quarter as well for me, Maitland. I think they had a little bit of trouble guarding the dribble penetration at times. Like we said, Hornsby very obviously from the start wanted to get on the rack, whether it's through a post catch or someone like Perkins or Mead going to the rack. So I think they had a little bit of trouble of containing that at times. It's particularly when that was their MO, maybe changing that a little bit earlier of the game could have helped lock them down a little bit and help prevent that 11-point lead they ended up having. And then I kind of thought as well, the likes of Bay, Bay matching up with Newbert was great. And me being a big fan of a traditional power forward and a traditional center, loved it. But then I thought Christina Moore, because she's so versatile and she has size and she can play inside and outside, it didn't really occur to me until we started watching that because of her versatility, she could have been quite a handful for someone. Like, who are you for someone from Maitland to guard her? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's interesting, like when she's on the perimeter, she can shoot it, and she turned the corner on more than a couple of players. So even in the position where you don't expect her to be as much of a handful, she was still putting Maitland in two minds on a lot of occasions. But and it's a luxury. It's probably a good problem for Shaq Shura to have, exactly how to use Christina Moore. But yeah, it is an interesting one because Maitland in their in their starting lineup, they're not the biggest outside of Casey.
No, it's almost like they needed another Sydney. They needed Sydney Hunter as well, and then she could match up against Christina Moore, because Christina unfortunately got into some foul trouble and ended up being fouled out. So she only played 28 minutes. And I only say only because, last season we were used to seeing her play the full 40. But she still had 16 points and 4 rebounds, and she still shot 5 from 12. So like you said, good luxury to have.
Yeah, so just checking her. So it was 3 of 6 and 2 of 6. Yeah, it did feel like she shot a lot of threes. She was, not quite dared to shoot, but kind of like a half closeout a little bit, just a little bit of sag. And then there were other times where defenders would get right up on her and she'd just take them on and beat them for a combination of speed and strength. You have to remember that Christina Moore was an Oceania, I think, discus thrower. So, that takes a lot of foot speed and agility to do. So even if she doesn't do it anymore, it's still a skill set she possesses. And it's the kind of thing that does translate is, moving your feet in small spaces, because that discus circle, it's not big.
No, it feels big when you're at Little Athletics under 9s, but when you're an adult, it is small.
Yeah.
I think the only other thing I had for Maitland in the second quarter was I just found it interesting that they played behind, like defensively, they played behind the post, like they were allowing the post catches. So if you think about in the context of the whole game, and we love the matchup between Hubert and Bay, Bay pretty much was allowed post catches most of the game. And it was just interesting that interesting decision to have the defense play behind rather than fronting or half fronting to put more pressure on that post catch.
Do you think that's a consequence of who is throwing those passes in? Is Ruby Perkins going to be able to drop a pass in where only Ayana Bay can get it and just go up to straight up, almost dropping it over the back shoulder where no one else is going to be able to get it? Because she did it once or twice.
I think even Lucy Mead had a couple of great dimes as well, where she just perfectly placed a pass over hands for Ayana Bay to catch. I get that risk, but I wonder even if it was still just a half front. And then it just still puts the doubt in the passer's mind a little bit, rather than like having someone like Bay who's already great in the high post, low post, and just really good at finishing despite not being, the tallest of centers in the league. I just wonder if that could have just put a bit more doubt in the mind, but maybe it was more, maybe they didn't want to risk Casey and Hubert getting more fouls earlier by having that wrestle in the post. Maybe that was the thought behind it.
Oh, that's 100%. Yeah, I can 100% see that.
Yeah. So rather than fighting on the post catch and getting those fouls, just then waiting to add the pressure. And maybe Hubert had a bit more length to put that extra pressure on Bay as well after the catch. But yeah, I just thought that was an interesting thing.
Yeah.
What about you for second quarter?
First thing I noticed was that Maitland had 7 second chance points, and it probably could have been more. They did get more than a few offensive rebounds. And their bench really came up big, especially Abby McGregor hit that 3. And then okay, she blew the 2-footer on the next possession, but she got up there quickly. And then she and Sophie Williams as well. They both did some good things. And I mean, Hornsby threw back off the bench with Nikki Sainsbury. I mean, there was even one play where James confused Nikki Sainsbury with Ruby Perkins, which shows how well she was doing when she got a trip to the free throw line. And I also noticed Maitland were able to utilize a few backdoor cuts, not to get to the rack, but they would backdoor cut and then either kick to the corner or even just drop it off to the player like in the dunker spot. I think that was maybe how McGregor got one of those close range baskets. But it was just something that Hornsby didn't really lock in on, because there were a few times that happened. I don't know if they were more concerned with patrolling what would happen after that player got the ball, but it's just did really open things up a little bit, especially coming from the left-hand side, which I found interesting. And I do feel like it's probably something that Shaq Shora was talking about at halftime, because it did dry up a bit as the game went on.
Yeah, and looking at some of the statistics from the second quarter, both teams were shooting at a really high percentage. Hornsby was shooting 50% from the 2-point range and 66.67 from the 3, and Maitland rounded up to 46% 2-point range and 56% from the 3-point range. So yeah, they were rolling. It was almost like the first quarter was great to establish themselves, warm up a little bit. By the second quarter, both teams were really rolling.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 30-26 second quarter, so which was easily the highest scoring. And when you think about the second quarter being the highest scoring, it probably means defense is forefront of both coaches' minds going into the halftime break, which probably explains a lot about why it slowed up a bit in the second half.
Yeah, it really did. Like, the number of attempts certainly slowed up. And I guess the percentage didn't change too much. Like, I think from the 3-point range for Hornsby, it certainly did in the third quarter. It went back down to 25%. And then, interestingly, Maitland didn't make a 3 in the third quarter either, given that they were, firing from the arc very early on in the game. Second quarter too, Hornsby had 9 points from the bench and Maitland had the 7 points from the bench. So yeah, that really helps support what you were saying before about how everyone from the bench was stepping up. Even James said in the commentary that both coaches doing a good job of getting their full squad on the court for this game.
Yeah, I think they both ran small. They were both short-handed. They both only had 9, but all 9 got on for both teams. Kate Love, 11 or 10 and a bit minutes. Dayla Walker, 23. I imagine that's probably a bit more than she would usually play. But even when you look at someone like Charlotte Kugel, who didn't have a point in her 6 minutes, but we'll get into it later. But she in the fourth quarter. But when she came on I think it was in the fourth quarter, she did some really good things that just don't show up on the stat sheet.
Yeah, and it shows the trust, obviously, that the coaches have in these players, but also is a great reflection of these players knowing their roles when they come on, because the game, despite whoever was on court at the time, coaches putting on the right combinations, obviously, but also those bench players, when you're going deep in the bench, both teams were still able to play with the similar level of consistency. So that's reflective of how well the bench players know their role as well in these teams. I didn't have too many notes for Hornsby for the second quarter, just because I felt like they just kept doing what was working for them. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. I mean, I had, a few little things that happened, but I don't think anything that really created a pattern of change. I mean, you're right. Yeah, they just kept doing this. When I look back at my notes, it's probably mostly stuff that I've mentioned. The only thing is that need to clean up the glass better. And when you've got Ayana Bay and Christina Moore on your lineup, you should probably, it's probably something you should be probably, I say focused on, but it's probably something that just you should be able to do.
It looks like that probably turned around though in the second half, given that Hornsby ended up winning the rebound count 48-39. So dominating possession in the end. I think a lot of that probably came from the last, 4 minutes of the game, including overtime, when it was just kind of like rebound and opportunity and back and forth between the two teams.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, the teams combined for 2 second chance points in the entire second half and overtime. So even if they were giving up any offensive rebounds, they weren't giving up points off them.
No, definitely not. But yeah, rolling into the third quarter, typically in these games, come third quarter, this is where the teams wobble. This is where it all kind of like started to come apart for both teams. This was the part of the game where everyone needed to get their mistakes out of the way to prepare for the fourth quarter. It was just quite scrappy and dysfunctional. There were longer periods of time in the third quarter where no one scored or nothing really happened. I think Maitland sometimes just needed a few more possessions where they worked the ball a little bit more, or like that one extra pass, that extra pass, just to try and execute that little bit better in this third quarter. But they were hustling even more for the boards this quarter. And I wonder if that was in response to Hornsby coming out and upping the defensive intensity.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's funny you mentioned the third line on my third quarter. Low scoring start to the quarter because I think it was 3 minutes and there were about 2 baskets. And yeah, I do like the point, of upping the defensive intensity because I really felt like they did. They also upped the physicality on offense, and it led to Christina Moore getting 2 very quick offensive fouls, and they were blatant. One where she got Casey Newbert when she was going to the basket and gave one of these, but I think for those of you just listening, I'm making the flop warning sign. And then that moving screen that she did about 30 seconds later was just that was less a moving screen and more just a body check. So just a couple of fouls that didn't really need to happen, and it took her to 4 fouls. And I mean, shout out to everyone who ended up on 4 fouls in this game because they played well without fouls afterwards when they did come back in, but it did mean Christina had to spend a bit of time on the bench.
Yeah, that's right. That was a real kind of dampening to the Hornsby Ku-ring-gai Spiders, especially in the third quarter. Everything was getting a little bit messy and a little bit dysfunctional, and that kind of added to it. So it was unfortunate, but the rest of the team were ready to step up, and the level didn't really drop despite her having to take some more time on the bench.
There was just one little stint for about 90 seconds in the middle of the quarter where both teams decided to turn it into a track meet, and it got very, very messy. Just turnovers, blown layups, one and done shots, and then nothing. No, I don't think anyone scored. Hornsby just were like, "Oh, we need to stop doing this," and Ayana Bay passed out of the post to Dayla Walker in the corner. And then both teams were like, "Oh, okay, we got that out of our system. We'll go back to actually playing what we've done for the other 25 minutes of the game."
Yeah. It was just all a bit of miss this third quarter. Battle of the Bigs continued, and it was. I think what I also liked Hornsby in this quarter is that they were up by 9 and they did a really good job of controlling the tempo. So taking the air out of it, they didn't have to rush anymore. They were up by 9. There were times where Ruby was literally just walking down the court and, taking a quick rest. So I really, really liked that from Hornsby, being able to recognize, hey, we're up. Let's just slow it down a little bit and take some time off the clock. Then at 2 minutes 44, the Hornsby commentators, Rachel Williams did a classic Rachel Williams step through move on the left-hand side, defying the laws of physics and going into the matrix. Now, you and I are used to that. I wrote that classic Rachel Williams move. And the commentator's like, how did she get that? I'm like, that's what she does every day.
Yeah.
Did you have any more points from the third quarter before we head into the fourth and overtime?
Well, this is where I want to talk about Charlotte Kugel because it was late in the third. It wasn't in the fourth. It was late in the third because Christina Moore got her fourth foul, 3:54 in the third quarter, and it was fighting with Kugel, trying to fight over Kugel's screen, and she pretty much just wrapped her up and threw her away. Which, given the size difference, yes, she could do, but it's kind of in contravention to the laws of the game. So it was a good screen from Kugel, and then she had the screen on. I'm not sure it was Maitland's next basket or not long after. She screened in the paint for Kate Love to get open and get the pass from Shakira Riley to lay it home. So again, bench working. Kate Love coming off the bench, Charlotte Kugel coming off the bench. Both players doing their job. And Kugel 0 points in 6 minutes, but just in that 2-minute stint, she got Christina Moore a fourth foul and pretty much had a screen assist on a basket. So for the young player who played, I think 40 minutes total for Newcastle last season, originally from Coffs Harbour, she's not as big an opportunity in this one, but she's definitely getting her opportunities and taking them when they arrive. So, I love a Coffs Harbour player.
Yeah, awesome. That's really good to see. Hopefully she can just stick around and continue to develop there at Maitland. And now getting into the fourth quarter, obviously where lots of the excitement happened, and then obviously we'll have overtime as well. Credit to Casey Newbert. She was on 4 fouls with 6 minutes to go in the fourth.
Yeah, and she got a real cheapie late in the third as well. Can't remember exactly what happened, but it was just a nothing burger of a foul. So, have her fourth, 6 minutes. 6 minutes to play, and she had to be out there. If they take her off, that game's over.
Yeah, for sure. Credit to her for staying in the game as long as she possibly could. I think Sarah Matthews kind of went missing for me in the second half. I would have liked to have seen her utilized a little bit more in the third and fourth quarter, maybe running some pick and pop for her to get her hot again, get her some 3-point opportunities. And then the Rachel Williams dime at 3 minutes 18, where she just dumps it off to Nugent again on that left-hand side, was in such a small space with such a fraction of a small fraction of time, beautifully executed from Rach.
Yeah. It's so good having her back and fully healthy. She just runs this team so well. They've got players who can, kind of slot in at the point if they really have to, but just having Rachel Williams there opens up so much more for this Maitland team.
Mm-hmm. And then for Hornsby, Ruby stepped through at 5 minutes 12. 5 minutes 12. That step through on the right-hand side, oh my gosh. You can tell this kid has been building herself to be an elite baller for such a young age. Her read and react is just outstanding. And it's almost like it's programmed in her. She just has this natural ability to stay composed, read and react, and then have the ability to finish like that at all levels she plays at. It's just so impressive.
Yeah. And it's one thing to have the vision or have the skills to do that. It's another thing to have both. And she's just does she really have to go to college? Really?
Yeah, no, can you stay? And that was the other thing I was thinking about with this Hornsby team. It's so lovely that she and Jessie May want to play that one more season together before they both go to college. But also Lucy Mead's going to go to college too next season. She's going to go to North Colorado. So I really hope that for this young, exciting group that's really bringing Hornsby to the forefront in the women's competition can have like a really great, as successful season as possible as a bit of a swan song for these three that are going to go off to college.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of WACA WNBL players do play NBL 1, but I think they're looking higher.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
I think the only other criticism I might have about Maitland is that a couple of their last possessions, they just kept resorting to ISO ball. And I was like, it hasn't worked for you all game. Don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Hornsby didn't score for the last it was 82-80 when Christina Moore fouled out with 2:35 to play. They were in the bonus at the time and they didn't score another point in regulation, which I found. I mean, I knew it was coming watching the replay when I did my notes, but to be 82-80 up with 2:35 to play in the bonus, Ayana Bay in there in the paint. That's wild. Neither team scored in the last 67 seconds once Casey Newbert just reeled in that pass. God, that was so close to a turnover. It deflected off the defender's hand, and Casey still managed to reel it in. I was like, oh, this could be game. Ooh. But it was. There were moments late on that either team could have done a little something. Leia Hartman put on the line with 12 seconds to play. Heels on the sideline.
They call it a coach killer for a good reason. Yeah. But it was interesting, like statistically, Maitland shot 100% from the 3-point line in the fourth quarter, 43% from the 2-point range. And while this whole game review we've been talking about Hornsby's focus on getting the ball inside or getting on the rack, it was actually Maitland that had more points in the paint.
Yeah,
they had 36 points. Maitland had 36. Hornsby had 26, and 12 of those 36 came from the fourth quarter. Like they were going home with a win today. Like they were really, really putting everything they could in the fourth. And I just think again, like there were just a couple of possessions where if they stuck to their principles of ball movement, getting like ball reversals, inside, outside, change sides, all those cliches that we liked, and didn't resort to some of those ISO ball possessions, they could have clinched this.
Yeah, they 100% could have.
Yeah. I'm going to look at their Maitland shot chart for the fourth. Yeah. Lots of great looks inside. That was all the 12 points in the paint. Yeah, 2 from the 3-point line. And in the third quarter for Hornsby, 0 from 4 from the 3-point line. And I think, only 3 of their shots, 4 of their, 8 of their points from under the basket just to hold on. And interesting that Maitland won the fourth quarter 15-21, 6-point difference. Those 6 points being the 2 threes that they made.
Yeah.
Then we get into OT.
Yes.
Where I still has some left in the tank.
It was back and forth. It's hard to say a 5-minute period could be back and forth, but it was this overtime. Although, I mean, Maitland's first possession was disastrous. I think they thought Taylor Walker was actually still playing for Maitland the way they threw that pass.
Yeah, that's just a momentary lapse in OT.
Yeah. But, I mean, Maitland, they got Ruby Perkins to try that step through that was probably a bit far out. And then Hornsby, I mean, you've played 40 minutes of basketball. We can, they looked quite lethargic in transition defense, giving up that 3 to Shaq. It's about a minute and a half in, but Yeah, then, I mean, it was 88-84, Maitland, midway through OT. And it kind of felt like after they had that disastrous first possession that Maitland might go on with it. But yeah, like you said, Spiders got a bit in the tank in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I should say, going back to your point about that transitions through from Shaq, I should say that Maitland's transition game was really good all game. That was certainly one of their strong points. They got a lot of points in transition. Probably won't say it as fast break points on the box score because notoriously NBL1 doesn't really. Oh, hold on. 8 fast break points. Okay, that's good, including that 3 in overtime. But yeah, their transition was really good all game. I think they could have pushed that a bit more. The extra that Hornsby had, I shouldn't say extra in the tank, but more tricks up their sleeve, to use another metaphor. They started to blitz and double the pick and roll. I don't think Maitland were expecting that. I thought that was a really smart move. It caught them completely off guard. It kind of helped Hornsby get that second wind about them in defense, like they were able to maintain some intensity despite getting fatigued in overtime. And they all played really clean. Everything was like clean hands, body straight up, all on every trap, every rotation. Second and third line of defensive rotation was really good for Hornsby. I think that really, it started to rattle Maitland, but then, yeah, like you said, Maitland started to, have that 4-point lead, and it did look like they were going to take it away until this particular point of the game where this is where the dominoes all started to fall. And it wasn't anyone's fault. This was purely, to me, an example of how the cruel fate of basketball works. Can you tell what moment in overtime it was?
I'm not sure. There's a couple I'm thinking of, but go on.
This is how I read it. And this, again, this is no one's fault. This is just the domino effect of the fate of basketball. So Maitland were up by 4. Momentum was in their favor. Shot clock was winding down, and Shaq had this awesome drive on the right-hand side. She beat her player baseline. She had this open drive. It was on target, and it just rimmed out. This is at 1:21. Just rimmed out. Newbert does the right thing, contests the rebound, and she gets fouled out.
Okay.
And this is where it starts to crumble.
Yes, okay. We're on the same page because that's exactly what I've got written down. I didn't have the part about Shaq's drive, but I did have the Newbert foul. And
oh man, Shaq's drive was so good.
Yeah.
She worked so hard and did all the right technical things to get around that play because she was a good step from the 3-point line. Time was not on her side. She found a way. She had a beautiful drive. And someone up there in the basketball heavens just swatted that ball away and didn't allow the layup to sink. Had that layup sunk and putting Maitland up by 6, they were going to win this game. Yeah. But it missed, and Newbert fouled, and then Hornsby had free throws, and then it just rolled into Hornsby's favor. Oh, it was really sad.
Yeah.
I just felt so bad because it's no one's fault.
But I mean, credit to Hornsby because, obviously credit to Hornsby, they won the damn game. But just on their next defensive possession, Ayana Bay went 1 of 2 at the line 2 times in a row, by the way. So it could have been further out. But then on their Maitland's next possession, Hornsby deflected passes out of bounds twice, which meant Maitland only had, by the time the second one got out of bounds, they only had 8 seconds to work with to actually make something happen. And that was the play where Ayana Bay just walled up on Sophie Williams and forced to travel.
Yeah.
So, you've got to just credit the Hornsby Kareem guys' defense on that entire play. And then Ayana went 2 of 2 at the line. So she went 4 of 6 in the space of about 40 seconds to put Hornsby Karigai up too. And I don't want to talk about the last little bit because I like the player that went to the free throw line.
Oh, yeah, I know. Again, no one's fault. It's just someone in the universe decided that it wasn't Maitland's game today. It wasn't anyone's fault. It was just all cruel twists of fate.
Yeah.
And games are never won. Like, you can't say that games are won and lost in those situations because there were obviously the other 43, 44 minutes of the game as well.
Exactly.
But, yeah, that was gut wrenching. And yeah, they were tied at 98 all with 54 seconds to go. Maitland did have the 2 shots at the free throw line and only made 1. And Lucy Mead had that great dime with 22 seconds to go as well, I think, for a catch on the inside. But yeah, it ended with Maitland only making 1 of 2 and Hornsby scraping in. I shouldn't say scraping in. That's puts in about, like, Hornsby ended up with the win, being able to come up with great clutch free throws in the end.
If they had secured a rebound on that missed free throw by Maitland at the end, it wouldn't have been so. The last 4 seconds wouldn't have been so exciting because Maitland did have chances after that free throw miss. They did have a couple of chances to put one up. But, yeah. I mean, 91-90 in overtime. Yeah.
I think as well what stood out for me in this overtime period is that, and especially, I should say in the stretch of the game, but more so in this overtime period, Hornsby just looked a lot better organised and understood what they were supposed to be doing. And there were lots of times where you could see Ruby was calling out plays as early as possible. There was even one possession where it was in the half court. She held it for long enough and then just put up a symbol and was like, oh, this is the time we're running this. Everyone got organized like clockwork and off they go. Then one of the last possessions in overtime, it was a backcourt inbound. And before the balls even touched the inbounder, Ruby was looking down the court and pulling her shirt, saying, this is what we're going to run. I think that also made the difference in the end because I don't know what Maitland was supposed to be running in those last few possessions. Were they just supposed to be running motion? I mean, they went away from the pick and roll because I guess they were being blitzed earlier in the overtime period. And so they had so many scorers, but no leadership.
Yeah. I mean, and also, how good is it that you've got a player who's not even at college yet, who you can trust to call the right play during overtime? There are many players much older with much more experience than in that situation the coach is calling out the play.
Yeah, she's very special. I keep saying on socials, I think I've even said it to a mum. I'm like, I'm buying her Opals jersey when it's available. Like, I'm waiting for the day to have that Perkins Opals jersey.
Yep. Get in on the ground floor. The bandwagon has many, many seats available.
Yeah. It's going to need a lot of seats.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I'm really stoked that this game was as entertaining and as high basketball IQ as we wanted. Especially because the Hornsby women's program has come a long way in a short period of time. And I can give them nothing but praise for investing in that program and the people like Shaq Shora and Shaq Shora's ability to coach really well and recruit really well. So full credit to them, and also full credit to Maitland, who are just always consistently competitive, great team culture. Granger now with his expertise, putting in the right things, and also being able to recruit people like Cezi Matthews. I mean, just hats off to both of these teams. It was a shame that they both couldn't win.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I love, this is a wider point beyond the game itself. I just love how Maitland have been able to make themselves a home base for players from all over country New South Wales. Like, it's not just North. Like, we talk about Charlotte Kugel, we talk about Lexi Plater from Coffs Harbour, Monique Rudder from Port Mac. But like Isaac Testoni's from Griffiths. It's not just northern New South Wales. I think they were represented by 11 associations when they were here at Sutherland a couple of weeks ago. It was their men's and women's team, all country. Well, two of them were Ulverston and Launceston. They don't really split it for Tassie, but it's not Hobart. So, and the other 9, I think, were all New South Wales country. You got Cooper Crow from Mudgee now. Obviously, Sezzy's from Bathurst. It's got Maitland, and then Cherry from Newcastle is kind of a bit different, but it still counts. But yeah, just so many. They've just become a home base for New South Wales country, and more power to them. If they've obviously found what works, what these players want or need in a club, and it's great. Not every country association can have an NBL 1 team. Mudgee Lakers aren't even going to have a Waratah men team anytime soon. So, these players have to go somewhere else if they want to play at the highest level. So, more power to the Mustangs.
Once upon a time, that used to be Newcastle when they were the Hunters. They used to attract a lot of the country kids and develop their programs. So, in the era of Lara McSpadden, Cass McLean, they were recruiting a lot of great players around that age group from other areas, as far as Dubbo and Wagga and stuff. So,
and I think
good on Maitland.
Crew have had some success, especially at junior levels, with some players. I think Em Matthews played. Well, she played for Crew in NBL 1, but she also played for them as a junior at points. Just some of those names I remember seeing on the honour boards of the successful. Oh, I guess they were Gosford City Rebels, not Crew teams mostly, but yes, that I've seen on the honour boards.
Long live the Gosford City Rebels.
It's okay to dead name the Gosford City Rebels.
Gosh, that's a whole other podcast episode. But any final thoughts on this game before we look to the round ahead?
Maitland will see it as one that got away, especially no Jessie May Hall. Hornsby will be stoked that they got the win without Jessie May Hall, because I think a kind of win could be the difference between, just looking at how Hornsby are doing so far. If we check the ladder, Hornsby now 3-2, Mustangs down to 2-4. Wins like this that you just pull out can be the difference between you having to worry about whether you're in the top 8 or not in the last couple of weeks of the season, or whether you're just fighting for position in the top 8. And not sure if the Spiders play the Mustangs again this season, but regardless, they're up as far as the tiebreak goes, whether they play each other again or not. As we just quickly scan through the schedule for the rest of the season. 13th. No, it doesn't look like they play each other again. So yeah, split in hand. So,
yeah, that's good to have. Certainly, again, even extra flowers to Hornsby, proving that they are a great team beyond Jessie May Hall. Like, Jessie May Hall is part of a great team. She doesn't necessarily make the great team.
Exactly. And we don't have news on how long she's out for. We've heard that it's not too long, but we don't have the exact time. So yeah, they're gonna have to win without her.
Yeah. So yeah, Hornsby now 7th on the ladder with a 3-2 win-loss record, and they play Sydney Comets in the next round. And Maitland have dropped to 11th position with a win-loss record of 2-4, and they go away to play against Bankstown next round.
So that's going to be a tough one. Yeah. Yeah, and then they travel to Albury the week after that. So, and then Newcastle. Oh wow. I mean, we've talked about this. There are just some teams that, whether in the men's or the women's, and it's because the men's and women's teams aren't the same strength. Sometimes teams do just get a tough run in either the men's or the women's league, and just falls that way sometimes. But everyone's got to do it. Everyone's got to play through them. This league has a lot of good teams in it, so you got to play them sometime.
That's right, and you've got to Play them all, and you've got to beat the best to be the champions.
Exactly.
Excellent. So yeah, very good game to watch and review. And if you have time out there, listeners, go back and watch this one. You won't be disappointed. But shall we get into our athlete interview for this week, Lockie?
Oh, the player who told me that she blew 12 layups on the weekend. Yes.
You know, that's kind of reassuring that players like this still miss layups, because me being competitive, misses 12 layups at social mix comp on a Wednesday, getting pretty down on myself. So if someone like our guest is still someone that can miss layups, then that makes me feel a bit better. I'm missing my layups too.
Well, they got the win, so that's okay.
They got the win. That's the main thing. So ahead of this interview was recorded last week, just for the sake of scheduling. And this is a person that we've been trying to chat to for a long time, that we're both good, big fans of also for a long time. Definitely Lockie has been a fan longer than I, and that I will wear that. You have more deep cuts, I will wear that. But yeah, this was an interview that was organized ages ago, finally found a time where we're all available to sit down and have a chat. And yeah, it was great. It was probably one of my favorites that we've had in a while. We've had two great young female athletes back to back now that I've really enjoyed.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to bring to the stage our interview. That was a preview of it. I'll take us off stage, and we'll now live stream our interview with Izzy Morgan from North. Enjoy. All right.
Welcome back to a very special interview episode of eScott Game, where we have a returning star to the league who played a little bit last season, but is back with her beloved North Bears. She has represented her state. She has represented her country. She has been at NBA Basketball Without Borders camp. She has played college ball with a bunch of Aussies, and she's just off her first season in the WNBL with the Sydney Flames. It is one of my personal favorites, one of Squin's personal favorites, and I'm sure one of your personal favorites. It's Izzy Morgan. Welcome, Izzy.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me. Big fan of the show and what you guys do, and of the page. So yeah, really excited to get chatting.
Yes, thank you so much for coming on. And as I'm sure you know, we like to bookend our conversations with the two same questions. So the first question, as always, is where and how did your basketball journey begin?
So I don't come from a basketball family whatsoever. My family's very much like AFL. So that's like all my dad knew growing up. So mine was actually playing like PE, doing sport at primary school. And then my PE teacher was essentially like, oh, like you're a lot taller than all the other girls. You should go try out for reps. So I think it was top age under 12s. I tried out for reps at the Bear Cave, and then the rest is history.
You were taller than all the other girls.
Yeah, I was. Everyone else I went to primary school was tiny. I think I was like a really early bloomer, and I was also a lot more built than all the other girls. For some reason, I was just like a really muscular child, which gave me a little bit of an athletic advantage. So yeah, they put me into basketball, and then luckily I had some really good coaches along the way that actually built my skill up a little bit later, because I wasn't very skillful early on. But yeah, really developed that as I went along.
So who was your first rep coach?
My first rep coach was actually Jam. He is iconic. I don't know where he's at now. I haven't seen him in a while, but yeah, he's absolutely iconic. Like, made me love basketball. So much fun. Yeah. I can't remember his last name. It's Jam someone, but I can't remember his last name. It was so long ago.
So what position did you play when you first started?
Well, I guess when we first started, there weren't really positions. So I was kind of just like charging through everyone, very physical. I guess I just I wouldn't even know, maybe a guard. And then I quickly, like, once I started playing reps, everyone was kind of similar size to me, and then I kind of really slotted into the guard, and then started playing point guard probably under 16s onwards once Tom Garlop started training with me.
Yeah, I was going to ask about your positions growing up, because I think we've met a few athletes in NBL 1 East who did start as like even a forward or a centre and then naturally stopped growing and had to develop their guard skills. But then it provided them a little bit of versatility.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it was really, as I was really young, that I was probably a bit oversized, and like maybe it was more width than height, if anything. But no, it's good. I was definitely playing guard early on. Didn't know how to shoot whatsoever, so I was like probably more of like a, you know, power forward kind of thing. And then luckily had some really good coaches like Daniel Fish, Alec Karenko early on, who really worked with me, and then started doing like some serious training with Tom Garlop when he was my under 16s rep coach, and he really changed the game for me.
How was the transition to go to point guard? Because point guard is arguably the most difficult position. And sometimes people are naturally born into that position. Like they already naturally have some skill sets and leadership skills that go into being a point guard. So how was that transition, especially at 16s when it's a pinnacle age to put you on a pathway to play for Australia?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think in under 16s, I definitely did have like a big leadership role within the team. So I felt very comfortable kind of moving there. But I think skill-wise, like for me, the really big part was like getting in shape, because it's very tiring playing the one and defending full court and being able to push pace, and then really like honing in on my handle, like tightening up my handle. And those are still things that I like need to work on every single day, and like make sure those things are like really, really refined, and you know, I'm doing well at them.
And so when you coach kids, do you also say to them, hey, if you actually want to be good at basketball, you still need to practice skills every day? I still practice skills every day.
Absolutely. I'm like a big believer in like the more work you put in, the more confident you are, the better you play. So I get most of my confidence from, am I doing enough work outside of team trainings, outside of games? Renee does such a good job doing so many extra individuals with us every week. Just like vitamin kind of things. Like I need those to like feel confident, feel good, feel refined. So yes, absolutely. I definitely am instilling that in the younger players that I do individuals with, for sure.
And what age were you when you decided to pursue basketball as a career?
I think when I was in under 16s, I decided that I really wanted to go to college. So I guess that's not necessarily a career, but that was kind of like when I realized I really want to take this seriously, and I don't have any other interest in pursuing anything else right now. And as I went on further and further, obviously I grew up watching the WNBL, and so as I got older and I started loving basketball more, I started training more. It was probably around under 16s when I thought I really want to do this for as long as I can and play at the highest level that I possibly can.
Did you have an instinct, or did you kind of had a bit of an inkling at 16s, because it sounds like under 16s was such a turning point for you, that you could make Australian teams and make basketball without borders and the WNBL one day? Like, did you have that instinct or belief?
Yeah, definitely not at the beginning. Like, I think growing up, I was always kind of like a fringe kid, like kind of good enough and like really good in reps, but maybe not that great on state teams, yada, yada, yada. And then as I reached under 16s, I actually had a really good nationals and my confidence started building. And then I actually started, believing in myself a little bit more and like setting higher goals, higher expectations of myself. And then I was just really lucky to be surrounded by the right people in the right program who like really helped me be able to achieve those goals.
Because I even remember, this is going a long time ago, I think you were maybe bottom age 18s or 18s, but there was talk of you already in the mix or like being seen by Australian coaches and COE coaches, and Renee actually pointed you out and was like, oh no, we've got a North kid, she's injured at the moment, she's going to be really, really good, like she should be making Aussie teams. And it was you. So that was so long ago that Renee's already pointed your potential out, where she's like, that kid is going to play for Australia one day, easy.
That's so cool. And yeah, Renee has been like one of the most motivational people I've been around. So she's unreal. So when she tells you like she believes in you, like you really believe her, and it makes you believe in yourself even more. So yeah, she's unreal.
And we have already mentioned it a couple of times, you did go to Basketball Without Borders camp in 2019. So tell us about that experience.
Yeah, that was so much fun. It was an unbelievable experience. I think it's so cool. I'd never played with people who didn't speak English before. So it was such an unreal experience, like learning new ways to communicate. And I kind of loved how basketball is such a universal language. Like we didn't speak the same language, but you could kind of tell what people were trying to tell you, or like we all knew what we were running. We all knew like kind of what we were asking of each other. And then yeah, we would just like find ways to talk to each other, which was super cool. And then there were a couple of other Aussie girls and New Zealand girls who were there. And it was so much fun. We were in Tokyo and I'd never been there. We also got to do cool stuff off the court. Like we went to a baseball game, which was unreal. But yeah, that was super cool. That was definitely like my first taste of international basketball. But yeah, that was unforgettable. One of the coolest experiences ever, for sure.
And I guess you say it was one of your first experiences of international basketball. How did you adjust to like the level that you played alongside and against over there?
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment. International basketball is so fast, particularly in the Oceania region. So that was really cool. But yeah, it was just different. We played a lot. We did a lot of like skills work as well. So yeah, it was fun. It was just like playing at a quick pace, being able to take care of the ball, and then playing with like a bunch of people that you didn't know, knew nothing of, had just met. Like obviously everyone I'd played with I knew of, or you have trainings together and you get to build chemistry. But this one, it was kind of just like, oh, you have to figure it out with all of these people, and that was like a really cool challenge.
And is that something you could take into joining new teams or state teams or national teams, anything like that?
Yeah, definitely. Like learning how to play with people quickly and like picking up on, what your role in a team is or what you can do for a group, or like how to even like have a big emphasis on like connection, like a team connection, especially like on the court, off the court. So it's like cool trying to find ways to bring people together when you don't have much in common, because like you always have basketball in common. But yeah, that's something I definitely try to bring to every team, is like, how do I like make us feel as connected as possible on and off the court?
And do you still talk to any of those athletes now?
Definitely not like in touch, but we still all follow each other on Instagram heaps, so it's super cool seeing. Like I know a lot of them are still playing, so they'll always come up on my Instagram here and there, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, and it always take me back. And I'm definitely still in contact with the Aussie girls that went, which is awesome.
And this is more a logistical question, but I'm always interested to know, like, how do they contact you to invite you to camp? Because when it's like state trials, your club will put out an announcement, or your BNSW will put out an announcement. But if someone was to call me from NBA Global Academy and say, hey, do you want to come to a camp in Tokyo? Like, how would I not know that someone is just playing a prank?
Okay, this is what I was going to say. I actually got an email and I was like, I'm being scammed. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, fully thought I was being scammed. And then one of my coaches must have told me like, yeah, no, like they this is a real thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. Yeah.
And how did they scout you? Like, did they see you at nationals, or was it like, did someone put your name forward?
I think it might have been nationals, and I think potentially what it was I think I'd recently just been maybe cut from an Oz camp. And so a couple of the girls who kind of just didn't make that camp, they gave that opportunity to go to the Basketball Without Borders. So I think that's maybe how they scouted it. And, some of the Australian coaches were like, oh, these girls didn't make this camp, but really good players, you should, give them this opportunity, which I'm so thankful for.
Yeah, that's really nice, actually. Like the bittersweet side of being cut from an Aussie roster, but you get to go to the the global camp. And it's also it's like, hey, how did you get my email address? Like, is there a data breach?
No, literally. Who gave me my email? But no, hey, one door closes, the window opens, or whatever the saying is. Yeah, super cool.
Very cool, very cool. And it did set you up on the right path to make the FIBA U19's GEMS team 2 years later. So you got to play at the World Cup. I think, was it in Budapest that year?
Yeah, it was in Debrecen in Hungary.
Yeah. So it was in Hungary, just not in the one city that I ignorantly only know. Hungary.
We did go to Budapest on the last day, so we were there.
Okay, good. I did see. I was going to say I saw Budapest somewhere.
Yes, it was close, very close. Yeah.
But you got to play with some like unreal people in that team, including Jade Melbourne, Izzy Borlase, Nadia Poch. They're all like currently in WNBA training camps.
Yeah.
But being amongst that squad, and as you just said, you got cut from the U17 Aussie squad and made the U19 squad. What was the atmosphere and the feeling like for you being back in the mix with people like that?
Oh, it was so exciting. I mean, I've obviously grew up playing against all those girls at nationals. Izzy Borlase, not so much, because she was double bottom age making that team, which is insane in itself. Her, Dallas, and Nards were all double bottom age making that team, which is crazy. And they were all like huge pieces of our team. So that was super cool. But it's so fun, like, being on a team with girls who are like your rivals growing up, like Jade Melbourne. Like, I'd never been on the same team as her growing up, but I'd got to know a couple of the girls going to like ADC camps and like the Oz trials, and they're just such good humans. Like, it was such a fun group to be around, like a really, really great culture, super professional, but also like very welcoming. And I was actually the only girl who wasn't living at the AIS who made that team. So it was actually quite daunting for me, being like, you feel like a little bit of an outsider and whatnot. But it like didn't feel like that for 1 second. Like, as soon as I like moved into the AIS to start training with them, it was so much fun. And then the world's environment is just like so different. Like, standing there hearing both national anthems, like the energy, the nerves, it's so much fun. It's such a cool environment to be a part of.
And what was the selection process like at the time? Because, we know now with the current schedules of various women's professional leagues across the world, someone like the Opals always have very limited preparation time ahead of an Olympics or a World Cup, but it might be different for juniors. So what was your experience with the selection process? And then how long did you have to stay at the AIS?
Yeah, so this experience was really unique because it was COVID. So the selection process in itself is just terrifying. We had 2 trial camps. So first camp, and then a couple of people would get cut, and then we had the second camp. And there was actually talks about 3 days before the second camp that Canberra were going to shut off their borders to New South Wales because of COVID. So me and Kitty Henderson, who was another New South Wales girl, were like, we have to leave like 3 days early just in case they close their borders, because like we have to go to this camp. So we literally got in the car, arrived at the camp like days early, and like stayed with my godmother, and then went to the camp. Only did the first day and a half of the camp, and then the manager came in and said, all the New South Wales girls, like, you need to go home right now. Like, they've just like done a recall of like, if you've been in New South Wales for the past, in the past 7 days, like, you need to leave immediately. And I was absolutely crushed. I thought, there it goes. Like, there's my chance. Like, that was my last chance to make a junior Australian team. I was so devastated on my way home. And then a couple of days later, I got a call from David Herbert, who was the coach, and they told me that I'd made the team. And he was so funny. He, like, at the start of the call, like, started to make it sound like I wasn't going to make it. And so I was like really sad. I was like, no, yeah, I understand. And then he like did, you've made it. And I just started sobbing my eyes out. Like, I was sobbing my eyes out on the phone call. Like, I genuinely couldn't believe it. That was one of the happiest moments of my life. And then literally a couple of weeks later, we were like 2 months out from the tournament. And then they were like, oh, you need to pack up all your stuff and come to Canberra right now, because otherwise you're not going to be able to come with us, because New South Wales were getting really strict with the COVID rules. And I was also planning on going to college right after Worlds. So like I had to apply for an emergency visa to go get my stuff ready for college. I had to pack up all my bags and get ready for college as well because I was going straight from Hungary to college. So literally had to drive to Canberra like the night that they emailed me, and then stayed at the AIS and trained with the girls for about 2 months leading up to the tournament, which was awesome. I'm so glad I did that, but it was definitely very hard because I wasn't expecting to leave home so soon.
I will.
Oh my God.
I just want to say, because this is a cool little thing, when you mentioned Kitty as well, because 2020 under-20 nationals, me near U20 nationals.
Yeah,
I was sitting.
Out of my career.
I was sitting next to Herbie for one of your games.
Oh,
and he had the
bottom age 20s.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and even then, he had his program out, and I saw what names he was circling.
Crazy.
And I was like, and he just had yours and Kitty's name circled, and this was like January 2020, and I was like,
I know something. That's so funny. Oh, how good. Crazy.
That's weirdly like one. I love basketball gossip, but that kind of gossip when you happen to sit next to a scout at a junior nationals and you can see who they're marking in the program, that is like in my top 3 favorite type of basketball gossip.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's tea.
I want to go tell everyone. That's so funny.
Yeah. But also, Herbie, come on, mate. Like, why you got to play with the emotions of these teenage athletes like that? Gosh.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you didn't tell me anything, Lockie. I would have been freaking out.
Herbie was notoriously a smoke bomb as well at our 2024 NBL1 Nationals. He came to the sunny coast as a commentator, and we had a really great group, and we'd hang around, and then all of a sudden he'd smoke bomb and leave, and it would take us ages to realize, like, oh, Herbie's gone.
Oh, that's hilarious. Mysterious man. That's so
Yeah.
That's so good.
But you did mention you went straight from the World Cup to college at Davidson.
Yes. Put the jersey on. Let's go.
Thanks to Under Armour for screwing up the initial order and having a spare set to give me.
Exactly. Everything happens for a reason.
But it is a place with obviously significant connections to Aussies, you know, starting with assistant coach James and working through from like Cassidy Gold and Adelaide through to now with Asher and Emily and all of you in the middle, Millie, Charlie, yourself, Rosie, Katie. Have I missed anyone?
Done.
Is that everyone?
I think that's it. Yeah. Great job.
And Shani now as well.
Yes.
So there we go. But did you always want to go to a college program with other Australians? Because I know some Aussies are like, oh, if I go somewhere with Aussies, I'll just hang out with the Aussies and won't get the same experience. But was it something that mattered to you?
It didn't really matter to me either which way. Like, I'd heard that other people were like, I don't want to go to a college with other Australians because, you know, I want to make it my own experience and I don't want to, I don't know what the reasoning was, but I never felt really passionately one way or another. But a really big thing for me is like community, like feeling like I'm a part of a community and like feeling like I have a really strong community around me. So if anything, that was definitely something that made me want to go to Davidson. Particularly, obviously, moving away from home felt very daunting, especially like I'm a big family girl. Like I have a big family. Like I love my family. I love being close to them. And so that was a big decision. And then having other girls there who were in the exact same position as me, who just had such good feedback and are having such a good time, that obviously made me realize that I was definitely making the right decision, which was amazing. So yeah, definitely was. I'm very glad I went to a college with other Australians for sure.
And I guess how did that shape your college experience?
I think it was just cool that I had people who could kind of take me under their wing and had people who really related to me. So that definitely helped with the homesickness. It helped with even the style of play adjusting. Like Cassidy Gold was especially like a really great mentor for me. She was a senior when I was a freshman. And so she just like always had advice to give me. And then Rosie Deegan as well was like became one of my best friends so quickly. So that really helps, like feeling like I had people that I immediately really connected with, because sometimes it is easier to relate and connect with another Australian than it is an American. But the Americans on my team also ended up like becoming my sisters, which is amazing down the line. But no, it's great to have an Australian tell you, okay, in your first college game, you're probably going to travel 7 times, because they're really strict about calling travels in America, and it's not so much like that in Australia. So like little things like that, having people who are like, oh, I also did that my freshman year, or I also struggled with this my freshman year, who could really help you along the way, I thought was so amazing.
And how many times did you get called for traveling in your first game?
Probably 3, so not too bad.
Actually, when I was over there, it was one thing I did notice watching.
Yeah, no, it's tough. Well, Rosie, I think she said she got called for like 5 travels in her first game. So yeah, that was a learning point for sure.
That's just because her feet move too fast. You can't tell.
Oh, that's true. It's so true. That's so true.
Yeah.
She's too athletic for her own good.
It's such a weird rule over there too, calling a travel so, like being so whistle happy with a travel.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me feel weirdly a bit better, because way back in the day, me and your coach Renee went on a trip to America, and we got to play against some schools and some junior colleges and stuff. There were times where we would penetrate and we would like, you know, like have a little bit of a glide to what we were doing. Like we'd take our 2 steps and have a glide, and then call a travel.
Yeah.
It's just the most mind-boggling.
Because
like,
it's also like, how have I done this my whole career, and all of a sudden I'm not allowed to do it anymore? Like that's what hurt my feelings. I was like, I got here doing this, so now you're not going to let me do it anymore? Like, what do you mean? Yeah, it's so upsetting, but it's okay. You adjust and you move on.
and Russell Westbrook can walk up the court with a ball under his arm while he adjusts his shorts and
Right.
waves to the crowd and wipes his
NBA
sweat and whatever, and that's fine.
Yeah. No, ridiculous.
So stupid.
The double standards.
Yeah.
They don't want the Aussies to succeed. Yeah.
No, they're just like, we're going to hold them back.
Yeah, literally.
Did you? Was it a tough? Oh, sorry, you go.
No, you go, Swim.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was just going to ask. When it came to picking a college, because it was one of your goals since 16s, was it a tough decision to go with Davidson?
I mean, yes, just because without any hindsight, like if I'm actually bringing myself back, it was definitely a difficult decision, because I didn't even really get to go on many other visits because of COVID. I was really lucky I got to visit Davidson because I was over there on a Aussie Travellers with Tim Hill and Lauren Curtin on a little basketball tour. So I was really glad that was one of the only colleges I got to see in person who were actually recruiting me. But I felt really I had a really good gut feeling about it. And I also just Tim Hill had said to me, he was like, I think Davidson would be the most perfect school for you. And the way he said it, I was like, I believe you. I really believe you. So I kind of always had a really good gut feeling about it. And I'm so glad I went there. Everyone who knows me knows how much I love Davidson. And even how hard it was to leave. So I just think I'm so thankful that was the decision I made.
You say you love Davidson. Do you love Davidson enough to have a Davidson tattoo?
Well, actually, we always said that if we won the conference championship, we were going to get a tattoo, but it never happened. So that was definitely in the works. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Look.
Yeah.
When you sent me that the first time, I thought it was fake. I literally thought it was
Everyone did.
I was there's no way. He's got to stick on
Yeah.
that. No
Danny
way.
Garillo was
That
no.
is so funny. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, that's real Davidson love right there. You're better than me.
Well, one tattoo for every game commentated at Davidson.
Heck yes. I love that.
It's such a big bucket list, tick off the list too, Lockie. Commentating there, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And also mentioned earlier in the episode, Izzy, you have completed your first season in the WNBL with the Sydney Flames as one of the local heroes in the squad. What have you brought back from that season that you're bringing into NBL 1 this season? I
think the experience of playing against that level of players is unbelievable. The type of athletes we were competing against, the it's just a different type of physicality, a different type of pace, which is super cool. And then I'm lucky enough to have Renee coach me for both teams. So I just am so lucky to be able to kind of continue to develop my game. We have like a really clear vision on like, this is what you need to get better at. This is what you're good at right now. Like, let's keep improving on that. So I think it's kind of just the never settling with where you are. It's like there's always something you need to get better at. There's always something you can get better at. So that's something that I'm trying to bring. And like, I want to get better every single week this off season, during the Flame season, next season. Like, I want to keep getting better. I want to keep getting better. And Renee's really like emphasized that and instilled that in all of her players. But yeah, that's definitely a big thing I'm hoping to keep getting better at.
I think it's important that you recognize that NBL 1 isn't just something to roll through in the off season.
No
it
way.
actually does have it lends itself to what you want to do. Again, going back to the Flames, as you mentioned.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, like every single game we've played in has been unbelievably competitive. Like the NBL 1, especially the East, like this is a tough league and there are some unbelievable players, and also like a lot of teams who have played together for a really long time. And so playing against experienced teams who know each other really well is always really challenging. So no, I'm so excited. I think that I'm hoping I'll get a lot of really good development, a lot of good basketball under my belt through this season, and then hopefully do some really cool things with our team this season.
Yeah, we talked to Zoe Miller only a couple of weeks ago, actually, and asked her a similar question about her WNBL experience. And this was the week after, or this was a few days after the round where they played against Hills. And there was that highlight clip of Zoe just like bowling someone over to make a play.
So funny. So funny. And literally, especially because Zoe and I were like in the weight room together for the first time, and she's so funny. Like, she obviously hadn't really lifted that much before, and so we would always make jokes like, "Oh, Zoe's got the 10s again. Like, Zoe, you can lift heavier than that." Which is why I literally commented on that video. I was like, "Okay, 12.5s. Like, let's go." Like, yeah, it's so good. But yeah, Zoe's unreal. She got speed, so she really builds up some strength. Like, ooh, the league's in trouble. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we mentioned to her, we were surprised by that highlight, because normally she isn't like, obviously she can play with and against physicality, but she's not usually the one instigating it. And you know, that's
to see that
yeah.
with her. So good. Yeah, that's the WNBL difference. Like, you have to have that kind of, you know, mentality. So yeah, no, that's awesome to see from her.
And look, that's no shade on Zoe either about her in the weight room, because she openly admitted it as well when we interviewed her. She was like, "Yeah, I didn't go to the gym before."
Yeah. No, but you can show that she's been in the gym, which is awesome.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, so good.
Oh, yeah. And now she's all about it, because she saw how much it improves the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, now she's all about it. And then, but with the Flames next season, you're going to be reunited with Charlize Dunn.
Oh, I know. I'm so excited.
You're excited.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, literally. But yeah, that's unreal. I just think she's awesome. She's a great human, elite player. She got drafted, which is unbelievable. So I'm just so happy for her. She like deserves all the success that's coming her way. But I'm so excited to be playing with one of my best friends again. It's going to be so much fun, and I can't wait to see what she brings to the Flames team.
Oh, did she give you a heads up that it was happening, or did you have to wait for the announcement like the rest of us?
Oh, not a little bit, obviously. Like, you know, I'm getting the tea in the background, but she said, I'm talking to a couple of teams, and then obviously I'm there. Like, that'd be so weird if you went to the Flames. Like, that would suck. Like, definitely shouldn't do that. Like, I was trying to get in her ear. So I was doing some background recruiting, but yeah, I'm so glad she made that decision. Definitely think it was the right one. So yeah.
Yeah.
But in the moment, North flying high, 5-0, and you've played a pretty solid schedule. You played Newcastle, you played Bankstown, Albury, and Sutherland. Knocked them all off. Despite you've had a bit of change, there was a bit of upheaval in the roster. You know, you lost Carla, lost Ruby.
Yeah.
Brought in Jazz, brought in Talia.
Yeah.
Taylor Words was there.
Oh my gosh,
there.
the off-season import news was blowing my mind.
I mean, how do you maintain? I mean, you've got a good solid core of players, but how do you maintain chemistry bringing, you've changed 40% of your starting lineup, really?
Yeah, this is true. I think Renee has a real talent for recruiting for chemistry. Like, she can recruit elite players, but she'll recruit players who are elite players who she knows will fit really well within a group. And I think Renee's coaching identity is so cool, and she knows kind of what kind of players will fit the play style, as well as who's going to actually like be able to connect with our group. So I just think so much credit to her being able to kind of build the team that we have right now. But I do think it really does start with like that core group of Norths girls that have been there for like a good couple of years now, like Caitlin, Emma, Peggy, so many of the young Norths juniors like Rebecca Donnelly coming up. So it's like a really strong like Norths core. And then I think, me coming back from college as well, like I grew up playing at North, like I just immediately felt really connected there. And then, Renee being able to add those pieces, like Jazz coming was unbelievable. And she's fit in so well. She's just the easiest person to get along with. Like, she's so much fun off the court. She's so much fun to play with. And then we've obviously brought in our import Talia as well, who I played against at college. So I think it's cool, like everyone's still kind of connected in some sort of way. Like, it's not like Talia came in and didn't know anyone. Like, she'd, had an Australian on her team before who like recommended she came and played. So, Jazz and I had played against each other in the WNBL and kind of knew each other a little bit off the court. So it's kind of cool, everyone having a little bit of a connection and then being able to really just like grow it really quickly because you have the right people in the right group in such a good environment that you can connect really quickly and build chemistry really quickly. Like, it feels like we've all been playing together for a really long time, even though we have like some brand new pieces.
I mean, Squin and I mentioned, it looks like you've played together for a really long time. When we watched North versus Albury. Like, Jazz would drive into the paint and she'd throw a pass out and she'd just know that someone was going to be there. That's the kind of thing that not everyone can do.
Yeah, no, 100%. And then I think like you just have girls who are going to get to the right spots, and you have 5 people on the court at all times who are willing to move the ball and willing to hunt for an elite shot. Like, Jazz is such an incredible creator. Caitlin is an incredible creator. And then you have like so many other people who are just always going to be at the right spots, make the right play. Obviously, we're not perfect, but everyone just like has the intention of, we're going to get a great shot and we're going to do it by getting the ball through hands and by playing with pace. And I just think when everyone has the same mindset and everyone's so bought into the type of play style that Renee wants to play, just great things can happen for us. So we're really just looking to elevate that and keep taking that part of our game to the next level.
And you've got a roster as well. Lockie and I mentioned it as well when we reviewed your game against the Bandits. You've got a roster as well where everyone can score. Everyone can kind of go off for 20 when it's their turn, but no one on your team seems like they care who gets 20 or not.
Yeah.
Like, no one's selfish. There's no ego about it. It's just as long as you are disciplined and stick to your non-negotiables and win, that seems like the only thing that actually matters to your team, which is so good to see.
100%. It's just, we have a team full of people who really want to win. And I think another thing that really speaks to our culture is we have a team full of people who love playing defense as well, which I think is also one of the parts I've had so much fun playing with this team is like everyone is up and in. Like, everyone really takes pride in their defense. Like, especially when you have Caitlin Martin terrorizing the ball handler, and you have Jazz Shelley who's ready to pick off any pass, and you've got Peggy who's just like, no matter what size the big is, like Peggy will be there 40 minutes, like putting in work. And then everyone's just like willing to really put in the work there, which also makes offense really fun because you can get stops, you can get out and play in transition, you can play fast. So our defense is something we really want to have be a big part of our identity, and that's something we're definitely still working on because we definitely have a long way to go there. But it's just having everyone with that mindset that wants to work hard on both ends of the floor and be selfless on both ends of the floor is really special to be a part of.
I love hearing you talk about defense because I think the first message James ever sent me about you was just defense first, kid.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's literally me. So it makes me so happy being on a team with people who also love to play defense. It just makes me so happy.
I mean, Jazz literally guarded Caitlin Clark at March Madness.
Yep. Yeah, no, she
Like-
can guard anyone. She's unbelievable. She has like the quickest feet ever. Like she's just somewhere, and then I blink and she's on the other side of the court, and I'm like, how did you get there so fast? So yeah, she's been a pleasure to play defense with.
And Caitlin Martin does everything with a smile on her face. I don't think I haven't seen her not smile, even when she's like mid-game doing something. It looks like she's smiling.
Yeah, it's got to be the scariest thing to play against, and it's also like she can do it all at the quickest pace. She's so strong. Like she's a gym junkie. Like she's worked so hard, and she can do it for 40 minutes. Like she can guard you full court for 40 minutes. She can push pace for 40 minutes. Yeah, she's an unbelievable player to play with. I love playing with her.
And you mentioned, we've talked a lot about your on-court chemistry, and you mentioned before we started recording how you also just really enjoy spending social time with your team too.
Yeah.
We always talk about the Manly women's team, about how they're like the epitome of really loving each other off court, and you can generally see how much they enjoy each other's time and how much that translates on court. But they've known each other since they were kids, right? Like,
yeah.
That definitely helps. But you've mentioned a similar kind of connection off court with your current North squad.
Yeah. Your Instagram is basically the Izzy and Jazz show now. It's not just Izzy Morgan, it's Izzy and Jazz.
For real. I mean, we both have a similar schedule. Lucky enough to like not be at uni or anything right now, so we've got some good free time that I'm trying to show her and Talia around Sydney. So anytime anyone in our team has a free day, we'll try and take them to a new beach or hang out. But it's been so much fun, yeah. And like you said, Jacinta, like I just genuinely get so much joy being around the girls. Like I get so excited to go to training every day, not even just to compete, because I'm like, oh, I just can't wait to see everyone. So yeah, they're just the most brilliant group of humans, and yeah, I really trust the work that we're going to put in, the work we have been putting in, and I'm really hoping we can do something great this season, because I just know we have the group that has the potential to do it.
Yeah, for sure. We're hoping that some of your North's teammates will also stick around for WNBL perhaps, or at least love it so much they'll come back to NBL 1 East and play this next season. But
for sure.
I'm probably getting ahead of myself given there's only been 3 rounds.
I know, and it's only been 3 rounds, but we've already played 5 games. Like it feels like we've played so many games already. Like and we've got another doubleheader this weekend. So it's been a busy start for the Bears, but no, we've obviously got a long way to go, and hopefully we can keep building at this rate. Like I think, people have been saying like, wow, it's really impressive how you guys are moving the ball this early in the season. And so obviously we all haven't been playing together for that long with this whole group, and Talia's only been here for 1 game. So I'm just so excited to keep training, keep being able to get better with our group, and like see how good we can get.
It's a basketball nerd's dream watching the fundamentals and the ball movement and and everything. Like it's just, it is awesome to watch. It's definitely my favorite brand of basketball to watch.
Yeah, that makes me really happy to hear.
Yeah, it's so good, so good. Like that game we reviewed against the Bandits, I was just like, this is how it's meant to be played. It doesn't. We don't need.
And it works.
Yes.
Yeah.
It works. We don't need a team of James Hardens mucking around with the ball and doing all these fancy things. It's like pass it, shoot it, or penetrate it. That's it.
Literally, quick decisions, get the ball to hands. So So
share, shoot, stifle.
Yes, niche reference. Very good, Lockie.
There's our episode name. Good job, Lockie.
Yeah.
And we, as you know, Izzy, we always like to bookend our episodes with the same questions, and we love to know more about our athletes off the court. So to finish up our interview today, tell us more about Izzy Morgan off the court.
So I think probably the biggest part of my identity is my family. I have 4 brothers, so a really big family. And then my biggest thing about myself is I just love being around people. Like, I love feeling like I have a community. I love feeling like I just like, I don't know, I'm in a place where I know everyone, I connect with everyone. That's like the biggest thing about me. So if you see me, I'm probably like hanging out with someone or hanging out with my family, stuff like that. But yeah, definitely hooping most of the time. But other than that, I'm really just trying to hang out with people. I love going to the beach. And then, yeah, spending time with my family and my dog, my highlights. So, yeah. And then I've also got into a bit of coaching. So I'm doing coaching for my school team. I also love to do individuals with a lot of the Norths girls. And then, assistant coaching a rep team at Norths as well. So just once again, trying to broaden my community and like get to know everyone at Norths, trying to connect with everyone. So yeah, I'm a big connector. I love to feel connected to people and feel like a big community feel, which is also why I love playing at Sydney, because I just feel like I love Sydney. Yeah.
Which rep team are you assistant coach for?
The under 18s girls Div 1 team. So
Nice.
Laurie Fleming head coaching. So watching a masterclass there. So it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, it's a great team as well. Great girls.
North's 18 girls Div 1 is a great team. Jeez, I'm shocked.
Yeah. I know, surprise. Yeah, so happy to be a part of that for sure.
Yeah, legit.
And what do you like to do for downtime? Are you a bit like, do you like to binge watch a TV show, go to the cinema, or is your downtime pretty much when you're asleep?
I love the cinema. My downtime is so I don't love time by myself that much. Like if I'm having downtime, I'm probably going to call Rosie Deegan in Perth, and I spend a lot of time on the phone with my boyfriend who's in America as well. So we're doing a bit of long distance right now. So my downtime is usually like, I don't know, I should be lying on the bed on the phone or going for a walk on the phone, or definitely. I like to binge watch TV shows, but I only like watching TV shows with other people. Like I don't like watching them by myself because I'll have something to say and then I don't have anyone to say it to. So my thing is probably I don't shut up, so I always need people around me to bounce off and talk to. Otherwise I'll just go crazy. So yeah.
Ultimate extrovert, Izzy Morgan.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. A bit too much sometimes, for sure.
What number are you in the siblings from 1 to 5?
I'm middle child, so I'm got 2 older brothers, 2 younger brothers. I'm the middle child, but it cancels out because I'm the only girl. So I was actually probably the most loved child growing up, which is awesome. So definitely the spoiled one, absolutely spoiled. Only girl of 4 boys, so that was amazing. I loved that.
I love you. Just like I had 4 brothers, completely neglecting what 2 of them did a couple of weeks ago.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Let me actually say this. So my little brothers actually just won a Div 2 national championship with Gannon University, and I was able to fly over and visit them. So yeah, they are like my little inspirations. I love watching them play. I'm so proud of them. But yeah, they're little hoopers. And then my older brothers are just excelling in their AFL and finance domains. So yeah, I love to see it.
Love it.
High achieving family.
Yeah.
Go Morgans.
I know, so proud. Go Morgans, literally. So good.
Well, like you said, you do have a doubleheader this weekend. Anzac Day Saturday, you're playing away against the Sydney Comets, and then backing up Sunday, the 26th of April, playing against the Illawarra Hawks in the Snake Pit. So, Izzy, best of luck for another doubleheader, and thank you so much for making time to be a guest on Eastcock Game. It has been a very fulfilling and insightful conversation. I feel like I learned so much about you. And it's definitely been one of my favorite interviews we've had in a little while.
Stop, I'm very blushing. Yeah. No, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. You guys are awesome. So can't wait to keep seeing you around.
Of course. Probably Lockie more than me, given I'm
like literally this Saturday.
Yeah. Brisbane. Heck yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is our show for the night. Thanks again to Izzy Morgan for jumping on last week and being our very special guest. But otherwise, remember, you can find our regular episodes on all your streaming platforms. YouTube, Facebook. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And keep an eye out for this week's All-Star 5 that will be posted sometime this week to reflect round 3. But in the meantime, just remember, don't sleep on the East.